One day, or maybe it wasn't a day. Did days exist yet? One time, maybe that didn't exist either. In the beginning, no, I guess I can't steal that. I guess I'll just get right into it. Here's our story. Us being people, the earth, perhaps the universe. You decide. There was a being. This being's name was
Resin.
This was the only being to exist in all of existence.
Resin.
Felt very
Upset.
They needed something to do, somewhere to be, and someone to be with. But the problem was, none of these things existed. They thought, what can I do to cure this?
Upsetness.
There seems to be no one out here like me.
Loving. Curious. And gentle.
Maybe I can go searching. What
Resin.
didn't know was that there was nobody out there, just them. Another thing that
Resin.
didn't know was that they started to leave a trail. Having no concept of direction, because direction didn't necessarily exist yet,
Resin.
never looked behind themselves before. However, out of new necessity,
Resin.
looked around this time and realized that things were being created behind them, left and right, out of their desires on their journey. As
Resin.
was
Floating.
through space, they thought, man, traveling this way is becoming too
Repetitious.
I think I need to come up with something new. And thus the ground was created. This ground was made up of
Sand.
and allowed
Resin.
to efficiently travel in a new way.
Hiking.
Marvelous,
Resin.
exclaimed. A place to move on top of. And what beautiful colors this ground is made of.
Red and yellow.
But just as quickly as their desires were satisfied with the ground,
Resin.
developed a new desire.
Resin.
Stomachs started to rumble. They were
Famished.
further along the path,
Resin.
discovered a peculiar thing on the ground. They picked it up and smelled it. Their mouth began to water.
Resin.
Took their first bite of,
Papaya.
my oh my, that was surely delicious, they said. But what's this? Seems to me that this part is inedible. And they tossed a seed from the
Papaya.
onto the new ground. The seed fell into the soil and quickly sprouted. It grew and quickly produced new fruit. This fruit also fell to the ground and
400.
more plants sprouted. The plants began to populate the ground and grow and change into many different types.
Resin.
Was now surrounded by a vast blooming garden. Wow, they thought, now I'll never be hungry. But how will I keep up with eating all these different types of foods? There are
Potatoes. Broccoli. Berries.
so many things, I just couldn't possibly finish all of them when they ripen. And so,
Resin.
unknowingly wished for a companion.
Resin.
Heard a rustling in the leaves of a...
Fern.
This was an unfamiliar rustling to them. There was someone else there. Hello?
Resin.
Asked. Is someone there? And out of the garden came another being. Hello, the new being answered. I'm not sure how I got here. By the way, where is here anyway? Well,
Resin.
replied, I'm not exactly sure where here is either. I was simply
Floating.
along and this ground appeared, and these plants appeared, and you appeared. Perhaps we could name this place together if you'd like. I'd like that very much, replied the other being. And so they named the place
Gaia.
because it was
Fruitful.
a fantastic name if I do say so myself, said the second being. I agree, replied.
Resin.
Speaking of names, do you have one? Why, yes, the second being replied. My name is...
Andra.
Well, you do have a wonderful name. I'm so
Delighted.
you came to be with me. Just as I was longing for a companion, said.
Resin.
And the two continued to talk and eat from the plants that were growing around them.
Andra.
Said,
Resin.
yes, they replied. What do you think we're meant to do here?
Resin.
Asked. Well, I'm not too sure. I was thinking maybe you would know since you were here before me. Said,
Andra.
maybe we could
Stroll.
around and figure it out. And so they
Strolled.
through the garden until they came across another being. I thought we were the only ones here,
Andra,
exclaimed. Well, hello, the new being responded. There are many of us in the garden. Why don't you come and see? The two beings followed the third and noticed
100,
other beings in the garden. They were all doing something the two beings had never seen before. What are you all doing?
resin,
Asked.
cultivating,
Another being replied. It's what we all do. How exciting!
Andra,
Shouted, and they started to do it too. Well, I guess we found out what we were looking for,
resin,
stated, and the two beings, along with everyone else in the garden, continued to
cultivate,
and it was very good. The end. I guess the beginning.